first glance, when you come to this area in Oklahoma, it is very beautiful, it's serene, but we have missing people that are never found. There are homicides that are never solved. There's lots of dark secrets that live here. My name is Dakota Black. I'm a tracker and detective with the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office, and I was brought into the missing persons case for Makayla Meave. And as soon as we arrived on scene, we started tracking the area and trying to locate her. We had multiple deputies and detectives in the woods looking for her. We were searching every place that we could potentially think of to try to locate Makayla.
There's something strange.
She might be in there.
She might be. She may not be alive.
I was not looking for an individual that was breathing. I was looking for my daughter's body, and I don't know why.
Sometimes it's hard to not take cases personal. They tug at your heartstrings, and this one was one of those.
What was it about this woman that fueled you this way?
Just who she was.
My sister Makayla is the strongest person I know, has the biggest heart, is the most caring, wants to take care of everyone and put everyone before herself.
I love you.
I love you most.
I love you more.
Her main goal in life was to be around children, to help children, especially ones in need.
Everybody that knew Makayla had nothing but love for her. We had a huge response from our community. Everybody really wanted her found.
We just went out there looking for her, didn't sleep for days, didn't eat for days. It was raining, cold. We were just out there for days.
Was there a part of you that say, there's a chance we may not find her?
Yes. It seemed day after day, the chances were getting more slim of finding her alive.
I just knew that she was gone.
I can't imagine how scared she was. It's just sad. Sad that it ended the way it did. It didn't have to end this way. I was driven and I was not going to go home. I was not going to stop until this case was solved.
The guys at the sheriff's office call her a cool dude with long hair because they say she's meaner than any of them. In the gun range and in the field.
That fence that's hanging, I had to go underneath that into the water.
Her name is Lieutenant Dakota Black. She's a trained tracker and detective with the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
I go out to scenes when there's manhunts or trying to locate individuals.
Her specialty is finding the missing, whether alive or dead.
I have found them underneath piles of leaves and trees and abandoned homes, sheds. I've found them pretty much in any area you can think of.
Often by her side, her partner, Deputy Haven, a trained therapy dog. For kids and other family members caught in the crossfire of tragedy, Haven provides comfort and consolation, a consoling presence she herself would rely on in the coming months as she embarked on one of the most heart-wrenching cases of her career.
This case will stay with me forever, and it will be one that I always remember through my whole life because of how cruel it was.
The last thing we said to each other was, "I love you."
Friday, September 15th, 2023, began like most days for Andrea Meave. with a 7 a.m. phone call from her best friend and younger sister, Makayla.
I wish I would have known. I would have said so much more. I'm grateful for that. At least I said I love you.
The next morning, Saturday the 16th, the phone rang as usual around 7 a.m. Only this time, it wasn't Makayla. It was Makayla's husband, Frank Byers.
He's hysterical, crying, screaming, can barely understand what he's saying. And he says, Makayla didn't come home last night. He ended up telling me that Makayla went on a date the Friday night before with a bald man in a white truck. They left and she never came home last night.
At the time, Makayla and Frank were headed for divorce, says Andrea. They were still living on the same 10-acre property in Macomb, Oklahoma, but in separate homes. So at first, Andrea wasn't worried.
My first thought is, she's single. I hope she had fun.
But Andrea's mood began to shift when her many calls to Makayla went to voicemail.
By noon, I was worried. 1 o'clock, I was really worried.
Their mother, Barbara Harper, was also anxious. Makayla was supposed to help out at the family restaurant that afternoon. But she didn't show and hadn't called. Unheard of for Makayla.
And the more I prayed about it, the more I realized that something serious had happened.
Frank also reported Makayla missing to the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office that afternoon.
My wife's been missing since late last night. She left at 5:30-ish, roughly 5:40. And the last time that anyone has heard from her has been at 8 p.m.
And your name?
My name is Frank Byers, B-Y-E-R-S.
What's her name?
Her name is Makayla Byers.
The deputy on duty, Dustin Richardson, felt he needed to put eyes on the ground. He got to Macomb around 4 p.m., his body cam rolling.
He'd given me the information over the phone, but I just wanted to see where she was coming from and see more of the details.
Frank made a point of showing the deputy the last Facebook message he said Makayla sent him after she left, assuring him she was, quote, fine and to back off.
Did you see the guy at all?
Then he told him the story about Makayla driving off with a bald man in a white truck.
So I would probably say 6, maybe 6'1".
Okay.
He was completely bald and he had a beard. If I had to guess a weight, I don't know, maybe 200.
Deputy Richardson then asked if he could see the house where Makayla was temporarily living.
Can I go take a look around? So she's been staying in this little thing.
Yeah.
All locked up.
But the shed-like home was locked, and Frank said he didn't have a key, but he did have something to say about their relationship.
We have an open marriage where, well, that's a brand new thing. I don't like it, but I agreed upon it because I'm trying to fix our marriage.
At that point, the deputy decided to take a quick drive to the school where Makayla worked as a teacher's aide. Maybe she had gone there.
Man, this Frank Byers called in saying his wife was missing.
He called his son, also a deputy, from the car.
This guy is squirrely, man. This Frank guy is squirrely.
The sensation was that there is nothing about this story that is really true.
While the deputy was at the school, friends and family started showing up at the property, including Makayla's mom, Barbara.
When I first got there, I didn't even speak to anyone. I was on my hands and knees crawling through brush out in the pasture. We've got to find where she's at.
How are you?
This is Deputy Richardson with his body camera rolling as he returned to the property late that afternoon. Frank had smashed open the lock to Makayla's place with a hammer.
I looked and I immediately saw empty shell casings from what appeared to be .22 caliber.
He told me that she sits in there and shoots out at animals. The coyotes and stuff.
There's a few times I've heard her shoot.
By then, more deputies had arrived.
I had asked him where she kept that gun, and he said it was in his house.
Is it in there now?
I had him walk me to his house, and he walked inside and he pointed at it. I had pulled it from where it was in there.
Treat it like always.
And put it in my vehicle.
The gun, according to the deputy, appeared to have been recently fired.
That's pretty recent. Yeah.
I made phone calls to get our criminal investigation team out there because it was off. There was something that needed to be looked into more.
Hey, I'm on that missing person thing still. This is suspicious as
Investigators ushered family and friends off the property and blocked the driveway.
I remember walking back to my car and just screaming at God, asking him why. Why did you do this? Let this happen? Just take me and let us find her and just take me.
The missing persons investigation was now a possible criminal investigation. And that's when the call went out to lead detective, Lieutenant Dakota Black.
We definitely needed to figure out what was going on.
As soon as Lieutenant Dakota Black got the call that Makayla Meave was missing, she jumped in her vehicle and sped to Macomb.
What was your immediate mission?
To locate Makayla. We needed to locate her. We didn't know where she was.
So it was 1366.
Detective Black and her partner on the case, Detective Marcus May, now the undersheriff, put out a BOLO alert. Be on the lookout.
It was be on the lookout for a white male with a beard, bald head, driving a white truck. We wanted all of the local law enforcement and surrounding agencies aware that we do have a situation developing over here.
The tips from this rural area, where everyone seems to know everybody, came pouring in.
Every white pickup truck with tinted windows was getting called into the sheriff's office.
None of the sightings panned out, but the search took on a life of its own.
Flyers were posted everywhere. Social media ads were everywhere.
Makayla Meave was beloved by everybody. They were demanding every resource possible to go find Makayla.
And Dakota, this was a woman with enormous heart, right?
Absolutely. She loved her family. She loved her friends. She loved children.
Makayla fell in love with children when she herself was still a child. Her mom, Barbara, ran a daycare.
We weren't just a daycare, we were the family. And she loved those kids, especially the babies.
Sadly, Makayla was unable to have children of her own, but that didn't stop her. In her 20s, Makayla fostered and would eventually adopt these two kids, a brother and sister.
She dropped what she was doing, went and took classes, got certified to make sure that she could give those kids a home. She did.
Around that time, an old high school classmate named Frank Byers contacted her out of the blue through Facebook. Frank, who was divorced, had primary custody of 4 young daughters.
Frank was telling her a story that the current girlfriend he was living with was abusing his 4 daughters. So my sister took him and all 4 girls in and just started basically taking care of them.
She felt like the kids needed her, and she sure needed them. Probably the happiest I'd seen her in a long time with those girls.
Frank and Makayla got married in 2022. They built their lives together in Macomb, population 24.
It's just country. It's 100% country. The kids are 100% country.
Makayla was going to college to get her teaching degree while working at the local elementary school.
And she would stand up for the kids, and if she saw a child that was dirty or wasn't taken care of, she would take it to the principal, and bring awareness to it.
I think that was her biggest thing in life, was to help little innocent kids that needed adult help. She always felt responsible to do that.
Countywide, dozens of people turned out in the cold and pouring rain to slog through mud and tick-infested woods in search of their beloved teacher. But one person at the heart of this mystery conspicuously appeared not to search: Makayla's husband, Frank Byers.
He never participated in a single search. He never volunteered to go out with any of the search parties to go out and try to find Makayla.
And it wasn't like, oh my God, my wife is missing. He never seemed concerned about that. He seemed more concerned about himself.
What were you noticing about Frank Byers?
The lack of any human emotion. I mean, he did not seem scared. He just wanted to know what we knew. It didn't seem human at all.
Investigators were already zeroing in on Frank.
We strongly suspected Frank.
3 days after Makayla was reported missing, Frank Byers agreed to be questioned by Detective Black at the sheriff's office. The interview was audio only.
At this time, I just want her found.
The detective tried to win his trust by playing the good cop.
Again, I couldn't imagine. I mean, it's hard not knowing, And when everybody's pointing a finger at you, I'm sure it doesn't make it any better.
Yeah. I feel like I gotta defend myself and tell everyone that, no, this is what happened, this is the truth.
She pressed him, but not enough to make him stop talking.
Did you ask her about the date before she left?
I did, and she told me it was none of my business. Same thing as if I went on a date, it's none of her business.
Okay, so she never said a name or anything? No, how she met him, how she knew him?
No.
After answering questions for 2.5 hours, Detective Black let him go home. The search for Makayla continued. Barbara remembers crawling through brush, wearing snake protectors, when she says she had a premonition.
I heard Makayla tell me, "Mama, I'm in a tin horn." And I said, "Oh my God, she just told me she's in a tin horn."
Barbara frantically started looking for tin horns, pipes or culverts used to divert water under roads. But there was no sign of Makayla. Then came the call to 911 on day 5 that would prove her mother's intuition was right.
Ma'am, I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I'm on Hamilton Road. I was searching with my friend for my cousin that's missing, Makayla Meave, and I think that we just found her.
The chatter of locusts permeated the air, an eerie sense of foreboding. Makayla Meave had been missing for 5 days.
I got a phone call from my friend, and she said, "I need you to sit down." And she said they found someone, and it's a female. And I'm like, is she dead or alive?
Earlier that day, a cousin and her friend had been out searching about half a mile from Makayla's house when they were stopped in their tracks by a strong, sickening odor. The friend followed the intense smell down a ditch to a tin horn. He saw something sticking out. It was a hand.
I was searching with my friend for my cousin that's missing, Makayla Meave, and I think that we just found her.
It was the call Detective Dakota Black had been dreading.
It was devastating to everybody. I mean, it was absolutely terrible.
Just as Barbara had imagined, Makayla was in a large drainage pipe beneath the road.
She had been drug into the middle area, and she was wrapped in the carpet. She had one sock on her foot that had teddy bears on it, and her shirt was actually pulled up over her face to cover it. I mean, it was hard. It was really hard.
Detective Black wouldn't leave Makayla's side. The two women had been born one day apart in the same year, but that wasn't their only bond.
I did feel a connection with Makayla. I have a history also.
I've been in bad relationships. It could have been me. On more than one occasion. I just got lucky.
While the detectives were working the scene, Makayla's family gathered just up the road.
You could hear them crying up there, and they were trying to come down here where she was.
But the crime scene was blocked off.
I can't see her.
We can't let you to the table.
I can verify. Please.
I never once doubted that it was her.
If anyone goes to the tape without permission, they immediately go to jail. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
Can you tell them we're here?
Of course, of course.
I felt like I needed to see her because she'd been out there for 5 days without me. And I just needed to be with her, and they wouldn't let me. She needed me, but I wasn't there.
Makayla's remains were placed in the coroner's van for the journey to the medical examiner's office.
My mom and I both realized that it was probably her in there, and that we would never be able to hold her and hug her again. My mom started to chase the van.
I just followed it down the road just as fast as I could. And somebody hollered at me and asked me what I was doing. And I said, my baby's in that van.
Detective Black was so angry, she had to hold herself back.
I wanted to leave that night and go and arrest Frank. But I knew it's better to move thoroughly than to act quick.
The two investigators had already begun building a strong circumstantial case against Frank Byers, the bullet casings in her home, his unlikely story that Makayla agreed to an open marriage.
She wanted to start dating other people.
And left with a bald man in a white truck.
She embraced the guy in a hug, and then they got in the truck and left.
When you asked Makayla's family about this open relationship, what'd they say?
Absolutely not. They said there was absolutely no possible way that Makayla would have ever done that.
Investigators learned from interviews and from Frank's own social media accounts that he was the one who was cheating.
Frank Byers is the biggest cheater. He was cheating on her as soon as he moved in. Every time he would go out of town, he was creating dating profiles.
Frank worked for an environmental cleanup company, cleaning up hazardous materials. He spent a lot of time on the road.
He would meet women at gas stations. He would meet up with them at hotel rooms. He would text them while he was home with Makayla and hide it from her.
He was communicating with females the day Makayla was murdered and immediately afterwards.
He was sending pictures to women the day of her funeral, asking, how do I look in my tux?
Frank's cheating got so bad, Makayla moved out about 3 months before her murder.
She packed a bag and she came and stayed with me for a week. I held her where she cried every night. She felt like a failure.
But I am worried too.
But Makayla's love for the little girls kept drawing her back, says Andrea.
I love you.
I love you most.
I love you more.
I love you most.
Makayla went back to the 10-acre property, but not to Frank. She temporarily moved into that little structure behind his to stay close to the girls. Frank tried to win her back, promising to change, but the cheating continued. Detective Dakota Black would later discover this conversation in which Makayla told Frank she was done.
I've never once been dead set for divorce until today.
Makayla recorded it 2 days before her murder.
I'm just saying you have officially lost me.
Detective Black believes she recorded it to expose Frank's infidelity.
I'm stating to you right now that you have officially broke the last string that was holding me to you.
Okay.
And you have nobody to blame but yourself for doing it.
That Friday, September 15th, Makayla returned from work to pick up her things and leave for good. But Frank, it seemed, had other plans. Detectives would later recover these images captured on a home security camera on his phone. Detective Black believes he thought he had deleted them.
Where is Makayla in this picture?
This is Frank's home, and she's coming through the front door.
Makayla stayed for 14 minutes. The detective believes they were arguing.
Here's Makayla again. She's leaving.
This is the last picture of the series. Frank standing at the door of his home.
And what do you believe happened after this last photograph was taken?
I think this is when he exited his home and went to her home and killed her. I think this is when he killed Makayla, within minutes.
Makayla was shot in the head.
Makayla had a gunshot wound right here in the front. She had one on the left side, and then she had a graze wound on the same side.
The last image she may have seen on this earth was her own husband holding a rifle, and then the shot fired.
Yes.
It started as a simmering anger
And I just gotta say this because I'm pretty angry.
and grew into a raging fury. People wanted to know why Frank was still walking free.
I'm sorry.
The most difficult part was knowing that we were accumulating evidence of Frank's guilt and Makayla's murder, but we were unable to release that or share that with the public.
We knew Frank was guilty. We knew Frank was not a good husband. We knew Frank was lying. We knew lots of things, but we couldn't prove everything. And I wanted to prove everything to make sure he stayed in jail.
Detective Black spent 18-hour days at the office with her sidekick Haven, the therapy dog now there for her.
Give me a sense emotionally how tough this was for you.
It was tough mentally. I was drained. I was mentally exhausted. I had lost weight. I was tired, but I was not going to go home until this case was solved.
Frank used the time to defend himself on social media. I am innocent, and everything will come out. He also appeared on local news.
Even today, I called her. I mean, I know she's not here, but it's just the fact that I have her number still and her phone's still on somewheres, and it would have been nice to hear her voice.
Many in the community tuned in to watch Frank Byers' interview, including Lieutenant Dakota Black.
Did it make you angry?
It did make me angry. It was sickening to see that a beautiful woman was gone from the world, and that while he's on TV professing his innocence, he's still in communication with other women, trying to have intimate relationships with them.
Detective Black tracked down scores of these women. Crystal Cantrell was Frank's girlfriend before he met Makayla.
He's very good at making you believe him, and then he's kind of like a snake. Once he gets you in there, he bites you.
Detective Black learned Frank wooed Crystal the same way he wooed Makayla, with a false story that his daughters were being mistreated by his current girlfriend. And like Makayla, Crystal had a soft heart.
I love kids. You know, I have kids of my own, so I just felt really bad for them.
Shortly after they moved in together, Crystal says Frank started to show his true colors. He isolated her from friends and family and controlled her every move. They fought. One night, she woke up to see him looming over her, clutching a pair of handcuffs.
I closed them so he couldn't use them on me. And then after that, he just got on my back and was choking me. He had wrapped his arms around me and had his hand on my throat, and he just didn't let go.
Crystal was able to get away, but was too afraid to report the incident to the police. She left Frank for good, but says it could have been her in that ditch.
He would have killed me.
If Frank ever harmed Makayla, she never told her mom and sister. Sometimes they saw bruises, but Makayla always said they were just from roughhousing with the kids.
I think if I think about it too much, is where I will go down a dark hole and not come out. Because I did see the bruises, and I just chose to believe and not question. And it maybe if I would have questioned, it would come out differently.
Bit by bit, Detective Black and her team built a profile of a murderer.
So this photo was taken at Walmart.
Using the date on a Walmart receipt found on Frank's property, the detective was able to track down this security camera photo.
What's in the cart?
There is bleach, ammonia, and a mop.
And mop, ammonia, and bleach equals what in your mind as an investigator?
Crime scene cleanup.
They were also able to match the carpet in the ditch
I'll help you.
Oh, I got it. To one a neighbor had given Frank and Makayla for their dogs.
You gave them that carpet about 8 or 9 months ago?
Yes. Frank took the carpet that was given to him by the neighbor and used that to roll Makayla's body in.
They believe Frank killed Makayla around 4 p.m. and left her body in her home. He then picked up his girls after school and drove them around, returning home about 8 p.m. That's when the detectives believe he started to move her body.
The kids reported in interviews once they returned home that Frank was outside most of the night. He wasn't in his bed.
Detective Black says there were fresh tire tracks leading to Makayla's little house.
We believe that the tire tracks actually came from a vehicle backing up to load her body to take it to where she was located.
The detectives believe Frank drove Makayla's body to the edge of the ditch, pulled her out, and then let her body topple the 12 to 15 feet to the creek bed. They believe Frank then climbed down and dragged her into that pipe underneath the roadway. Once Frank got rid of the body, he concocted a plan to cover up his crime.
So she took the phone with her? Yeah, as far as I know, she took her phone with her.
Remember, he told the deputy that Makayla had messaged him from her phone that evening, telling him back off. But investigators would later find Makayla's phone in Frank's bedroom. Detective May confronted Frank in a second interview.
So I'm just trying to understand how, if she left with her phone and was communicating with you through her phone on Facebook, how that phone was in your bedroom.
I understand.
Okay.
I don't have an explanation, honestly.
But investigators did have an explanation. Makayla had 2 phones, an iPhone and a Moto G phone. Frank had both of them.
The Moto G phone was an old phone of Makayla's that she hadn't been using for quite some time.
She can just push in that hole, it pops the tray out.
Frank knew how to get into that old phone.
So there's a SIM card for those who don't know. That's what it looks like.
So he switched the SIM card from her iPhone.
Why does he do that?
To gain full access to all of her accounts. That's how he was texting himself, pretending to be Makayla. And in fact, it was him the entire time.
The evidence was mounting, but they were still waiting on 2 key pieces of evidence they had sent to the forensic lab for testing.
I needed a smoking gun that I knew was not going to let him out. I knew it was going to keep him there.
What have you just unwrapped here?
This, what do we have here is the projectile recovered from the 2x4 inside Makayla's bedroom.
In addition to the shell casings found on the floor in Makayla's home, they later found this bullet, wrapped in what they believed was Makayla's hair, embedded in the wall. They hoped it would test positive for Makayla's DNA. And then there were these boots.
So these are Frank's work boots. They were recovered on the night of the missing persons report from his bedroom.
And what did you spot on these boots that was of interest?
So we had found a substance that we believed could be blood, but he also works with lots of chemicals, so we were unsure if that would be something that got on there while he was at work.
38 days after Makayla went missing, they finally got the results. They weren't able to get a genetic confirmation on the hair, but the boots were a different story. The substance on Frank's boots was blood, Makayla's blood.
As soon as we got that, we were like, we're going right now.
You had your man.
We had our guy, yes.
We were waiting for that arrest. So it moved fast after that.
It was close to midnight. Flashing police lights lit up the darkness. 38 days after Makayla was reported missing, Detective Black, Deputy Richardson, and a special ops team moved in to arrest Frank Byers.
I got with the SWAT team, organized the takedown, and went in and got him.
Just confirm that we have the main suspect. He's in custody and
you are under arrest.
He thought he was smarter than everyone, but he was outsmarted, right?
Yes, I think he was surprised.
I swear I didn't do it.
Lieutenant Black finally had Frank in her grasp, and right where she wanted him, in handcuffs, headed to jail. Detective May called Makayla's family with the news.
That was a hallelujah moment. That was about time moment. We couldn't get her back, but we knew he wasn't walking free anymore.
Detective May says they were done with Frank's lies.
How you doing, Frank?
And they confronted him with the hard evidence they'd taken weeks to gather.
Now's the opportunity to let us know what happened.
I didn't do it.
Why was there blood on your boots?
I mean, I can't answer. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly.
Frank Byers was charged with first-degree murder. The DA was seeking the death penalty, but the defense requested a deal to save his life. 15 months after Byers' arrest, he agreed to plead guilty and serve life without parole. Makayla's mom was bitterly disappointed.
I feel that the plea deal was a cop-out. The moment, the second that she took her last breath, he chose that. And he got to choose what he got for punishment too. And that's not okay. It's not okay.
The plea deal isn't the only thing upsetting Barbara. She doesn't think Frank acted alone.
You're absolutely convinced that Frank had somebody help him.
I'll go to my grave believing that.
I think he had to have had an accomplice. I don't think that he could have moved her body on his own at all.
Physically, he could not have done it.
No, I don't believe so.
I think we all agree that it would absolutely be difficult to move her, but people are scared. They can do amazing things.
What they're saying is not unreasonable. If the evidence is presented to us one day that suggests that, we will take it and we'll run with it to its fullest extent.
I come and I sit and I look at that place down there. I went down and hung all kinds of crosses and different things. He didn't just take from us, he took from his own children. Someone that loved them, that put them first. It didn't have to end this way. He could have let her leave, but he didn't.
There's cold justice for Makayla. For Detective Dakota Black, Tracker, her painful work continues.
Makayla would want her life to mean something.
Barbara is starting Makayla's Purple Butterfly Foundation to fight against domestic violence.
That was her goal, her mission in life, was when you see someone in need, help them. When I think of Makayla, I think of sunflowers. I think of joy.
She would love that, though. You know she would, with all those sunflowers. I sure miss her smile, her laugh. Oh, that laugh was something else.
She was my best friend. I strived for her to be proud of me because I looked up to her even though she was the little sister. I still lay in bed and talk to her like she's still right there. I feel like she's watching over us every day.
Welcome to Post Mortem. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Green, and today we're discussing Makayla Meave, who was first reported missing by her husband, Frank Byers, in 2023. Now, he told police that his wife had gone out on a date with another man, saying that they had an open marriage, but then she never returned from that date. An extensive search was launched, and Lieutenant Dakota Black, a tracker and detective with the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office, was brought in on this case. So joining me now is 48 Hours correspondent Peter Van Sant, who reported on this episode. Peter, it's always great to see you.
Hi, Anne-Marie. Great to be with you again.
And of course, we want to remind the viewers and listeners, if you haven't listened to this episode of 48 Hours, you can find it in your podcast feed, the full audio version of it. So go take a listen, then come on back for this conversation because we got questions. And Peter has the answers. So, Peter, Makayla and Frank Byers, they're living in a small rural town of Macomb, Oklahoma. Lieutenant Dakota Black described the area as beautiful and serene, and it certainly looks that way, but also said there are a lot of dark secrets that live there too. What did she mean by that?
Well, it's hard to believe, but Oklahoma has the highest rate of domestic violence of any state in the country. And Dakota Black told us she in her own life has experienced violence in a relationship. And while Macomb only has a population of less than 30, and keep in mind, Makayla, Frank, and the girls, they make up 20% of the population of Macomb, it's near an intersection of multiple interstate highways. And Dakota Black said criminals moving through the area are known to dump victims' bodies there. And there are people living in Pottawatomie County in poverty. Some are off the grid with no electricity or running water, toilets, or even a roof over their head. There are some drug problems, and it's an open carry state. A lot of people have firearms. And Lieutenant Black said they have missing people that are never found, homicides that are never solved. And I do want to say that while the sheriff's office there is small, they serve this large rural county with distinction and professionalism, and they were outstanding in their efforts to find Makayla.
That's the impression that I got just from watching the hour. Like, they just seem so on point and so unbiased and completely focused on like where the evidence is driving them.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about Makayla and Frank's relationship. They were old high school classmates. They did not date in high school, but then many years later, out of the blue, Frank contacts her on Facebook and they start a relationship. They are married in 2022, and it's a large blended family because Makayla, she already has 2 kids. Frank has 4 of his own daughters. But was Makayla's family worried about the relationship that she had with Frank? Because there must have been red flags.
Yeah, her sister Andrea said that at the beginning of this relationship, Frank was a romantic person. One time he left rose petals in the bathtub, but that didn't last long, according to the family. Makayla couldn't have kids of her own, but she had such a maternal gene, and her family believes that these 4 kids that Frank had were a really draw for her, more than Frank himself. Detectives believe that Frank used those young girls, his 4 daughters, to lure Makayla in. He told her that they'd been abused by his then girlfriend, and investigators would later determine that that was all a lie and a tactic he used to convince other women to be with him as well. You might say it was Frank's business model, and it worked.
What a way to describe it.
And her mother, Barbara, and her sister, Andrea, say that they saw bruises on Makayla. But Makayla said they were just from roughhousing with the kids, and the family believed her at the time. And looking back now, the family wished they had questioned her more about those bruises. According to Barbara and Andrea, he was also a compulsive liar. And Frank had this pattern of cheating, lying, and Makayla had left at least once. Let him know, that's it, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. But she came back. She always felt, because of this devotion she had to those 4 children, that she couldn't leave them just in Frank's hands.
Makayla's sister, Andrea, said that they were headed for divorce, and Makayla had temporarily moved to another structure on the property. But then on September 15th, 2023, Makayla returns home from work, intending to pick her things up and leave for good. But she was never seen alive again. Frank then reports Makayla missing in the afternoon of September 16th, and the responding officer, Deputy Dustin Richardson, went to the buyer's property to check it out. Typically, police will wait longer than just a few hours for a missing persons report. But why did Richardson decide to investigate this one, relatively quickly?
Yeah, Investigator Richardson, his instincts right away told him this just isn't adding up. He listened to Frank on the 911 call and also spoke to Frank on the phone, and he just had a hunch that something seemed off. And when he got there, Frank launched into his explanation as if he had a story planned out in Richardson's mind, that the last time he saw Makayla, she was leaving to go on a date with a bald man in a white truck. And Frank also claimed that they had an open marriage, and he said that they agreed to this arrangement to try to fix their marriage.
And we hear on Deputy Richardson's body camera footage that he thought Frank Byers was squirrely. And as an audience member, I kind of went through, what does that word mean to me when I hear somebody squirrely? I think of them as kind of like a fast talker. Someone's got an answer to everything, but nothing's adding up.
Squirrely is a great word, and it just means you can't trust him. There's something about him that's just not right. And that's what he picked up on right away.
Right. So he goes to the school where she works, where Makayla works as a teacher's aide. And then he goes back to the buyer's property. And Frank, at this point, has smashed open the lock to the structure where Makayla was living temporarily when she sort of moved out of the first structure because she doesn't want to be with him. This is all starting to look kind of more and more suspicious to Richardson. What is it that is bothering him?
Well, Richardson asked Frank if he had a gun because they had discovered some shell casings inside Makayla's shed where she lived. And Frank said yes, and he shows the gun to Richardson. Well, Richardson noticed he was able, through his training, to tell that the gun had been recently fired. And Frank told him that, these shell casings on the floor of Makayla's shed were from Makayla, get this, shooting at coyotes on the property. He claimed she would sit inside her shed with the door open and fire at coyotes, which was ridiculous to her family because she hated guns. And the shell casings were found that they were going in a direction that showed that the shooter was not firing outside of her shed, but rather into the shed, which told Richardson we may have a homicide scene here.
Right. This guy's, something's off about what he's telling police. So this missing persons investigation pretty quickly turns into a criminal investigation. There's a massive search that's launched, and we are introduced to Lieutenant Dakota Black. She's leading the charge. She is a detective, but she's also a tracker. What exactly is a tracker?
Well, Dakota Black told us that she is trained to look for signs that a normal detective might not see. She found people in all kinds of places like trees and houses that didn't belong to them. And she's trained to use her power of observation to look for the little clues, like evidence that someone had once been through an area, details that others might miss, helping to locate missing people, fugitives, or suspects. People always think of a tracker, too, from the old cowboy movies and saying, yes, someone was just here 45 minutes ago.
So true.
She's not that precise,
right,
but she's close, and she has a way about her that she notices things that others don't.
Well, listeners may also associate the term with a CBS show that we have called Tracker, starring Justin Hartley. He's a sort of a bit of a lone wolf, this character, lone wolf,
right,
wolf for hire. But Lieutenant Dakota Black is not. She's an essential part of a team at the county sheriff's office, right, Peter?
Absolutely. Cops have always told me, that they stay emotionally detached, sort of like a doctor treating a patient. But Dakota Black keeps her heart right on her sleeve, and that extra caring, that devotion really works for her. And during one interview with producer Liza Finley, Dakota Black teared up. She cried as she thought about the horrors that Makayla went through and how in her own life she had been threatened. I had never seen this level of emotion from a law enforcement detective ever in my career. And that passion pushed and pushed her to get this case solved.
And as I understand it, Dakota's whole team was kind of singing her praises.
Absolutely. Her colleagues, they have so much respect for her. Dakota Black is a woman in her early 30s, and she's working with a lot of male colleagues, some of whom she's in charge of. And she said, you can ask all the guys. They call me a cool dude with long hair because I'm meaner than any of them, and they know to listen to me. And Dakota Black brings her own dog, Haven, to serve as a comfort dog to victims and for herself. If they ever make a TV show about her, here's a detective with a comfort animal in her office. And we have Dakota Black talking about her dog, Haven.
She works with victims of homicides. She also works with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, and then as well as with children. And she works with a lot of victims every year. Her first year we had her, she worked with over 300 victims. They can cry on her, they can love on her, they can hug her. Sometimes she will lick them, but she just provides comfort for them. And that's what her name represents, which is a safe place. So that's what she does for our victims, and she does a good job.
I was really struck by the professionalism and the humanity of this whole team in Pottawatomie County. Dustin Richardson had been working at the sheriff's office for only 4 years at the time of Makayla's case. And because of his great work, he was recently promoted to detective. And the undersheriff is Marcus May. He's a terrific guy. And then the sheriff, Freeland Wood, who runs all of this, introduced himself at the shoot and said he was so happy that 48 was covering this story. I'm telling you, the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office has a peer support group to help police, first responders, deal with the trauma that they experience on the job. And they told us, we see things that no one should have to see, and that weighs very heavy on them. So it's a tiny sheriff's department with a big heart and a lot of very professional, seasoned investigators, because they've got a lot on their hands in this rural county.
Welcome back. As search efforts were underway, with dozens of people turning out to try to find Makayla, there's one person who's absent. It's her husband, Frank Byers. After Makayla had been missing for 5 days, she was found in a large drainage pipe under a road, and she is wrapped in a carpet. Investigators quickly zero in on Frank Byers as the primary suspect. Meanwhile, Frank continues to spin his narrative of being the grieving husband And he actually goes on TV. So I want to play a clip from a TV interview that he did with a local Fox affiliate, Fox 25. Just take a listen to this.
Even today, I called her. I mean, I know she's not here, but it's just the fact that I have her number still and her phone's still on somewheres, and it would have been nice to hear her voice.
You know, Peter, I was looking to see if I was seeing any real tears coming out of those eyeballs of his, because often sometimes people make crying noises, but they're not actually crying.
Right. Yeah, this is one heartless, uncaring phony. This emotion that he had there was all fake. He had crocodile tears that didn't really flow. Frank was so comfortable lying on TV. He says her phone's still on somewhere, but in reality, he had her phone the whole time before investigators took devices into evidence, so he knew exactly where it was.
So, days turn into weeks. There's no arrest. Makayla's family, they are livid. Frank is still walking around. So I'm really curious, what sort of evidence were investigators looking for before they felt comfortable making an arrest?
They wanted a piece of forensic evidence that would leave no doubt that Frank was the killer. And Lieutenant Dakota Black told us townspeople knew it was Frank, but investigators needed to find that beyond a reasonable doubt kind of evidence. So they started digging into Frank's social media, and there was a treasure trove of information there. He had multiple dating profiles and multiple Facebook accounts. They found comments from women with screenshots on text messages with Frank. And one disturbing find, Frank was actually texting other women on the day of Makayla's murder. Even on the day of her funeral, Frank sent a photo of himself to multiple women asking something along the lines of, "How do I look in my tuxedo?" They also tracked down another girlfriend he had assaulted, and she said he used the same tactic on her with the story of Frank's 4 daughters being abused. So they found lots of stuff that really told them about how this man operates.
Right. And we see in the hour something else that they found. They recovered footage from a home security camera. And really, detectives believe that this is sort of the last that anyone would have seen of Makayla.
Yeah, I'm telling you, technology now is solving so many of these cases. Investigators were never able to find the actual physical security camera that recorded these images, but Frank used an app on his phone to view the images, and he thought, according to investigators, that he had deleted them. But when investigators did the forensic extraction on Frank's phone, they were able to find these images. The first image you see is Makayla coming into his home, and she's there for about 14 minutes. The next image, we see her leaving the home. The last image is Frank standing at his door looking out, like he was about to follow Makayla back to the shed where she was living, where investigators believe he confronted her and shot her.
Investigators also used a Walmart receipt to track down security camera photos. Frank Byers is seen buying bleach, ammonia, a mop. And according to Dakota Black, all of this looks like a possible, toolkit to clean up a crime scene.
Go to Walmart and buy all those things. Frank even called the police while he was at that Walmart buying those cleaning supplies.
And then there's also the carpet, right? And what investigators find out is that the carpet that Makayla was wrapped up in, that was a carpet that a neighbor had given to the couple for their dogs. So the evidence is adding up here, but they had hopes that a specific bullet that was found embedded in Makayla's wall would also test positive for her DNA.
That's right. And they weren't able to get a genetic confirmation on hair that was stuck to that bullet, but a dark substance that was found on Frank's boots was Makayla's blood. That's when they went in for the arrest.
38 days after Makayla was reported missing, Frank Byers is arrested and he's charged with first-degree murder. His defense, though, negotiates a deal to take the death penalty off the table. Then 15 months later, he agreed to plead guilty and serve life without parole. Makayla's mother really feels like this is a cop-out because he chose to take Makayla's life, and then he gets to choose his own punishment.
And I understand Barbara's frustration with the death penalty being taken off the table. Moving forward, they have now turned their grief, the family, into a charity. They have started Makayla's Purple Butterfly nonprofit to fight against domestic violence. And they raise money by selling handmade crafts made by women affected by domestic violence to build transition housing for victims. And once 48 Hours learned of Makayla's case, we really wanted to honor her by telling this story.
Well, you absolutely did. What I kept on thinking over and over again was just how remarkable she was. In her day-to-day life, she was transforming the lives of his daughters, her own children, the children at school, and I think about all that was lost, the future impact that she would have had because of one selfish person's actions.
Right. She was a guardian angel to those 4 kids. And when Frank took her life, he really impacted theirs so profoundly. And we wish the best for those children.
Yeah. And, once again, just spotlight on domestic violence, those red flags, that gut feeling, listen to them. It may end up saving, your life or the life of somebody that you love. Peter Van Sant, always lovely having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
And to our listeners, if you like this episode, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.